This Sunday, saddle up for the Rankin County Buck and Bronc Bash. It's not just a rodeo, it's a wild ride for a cause. Catch the thrills with bareback, saddle bronc, barrel racing, and bull riding. Fun for the kiddos and fans alike. Gates fling open at 12:30. Show kicks off at 2 p.m. Sunday, October 6th, just $12. Kids under 10 enter free. Head on out to 122 Justin Drive in Pillahatchee, Mississippi. Dash over to Facebook for more information. Yeehaw! Let's help out while we hoot and holler. Boom, shaka, laka, boom. You've tuned in to the free-range human show of choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It is a Fafo Friday here on the Clay Edwards Show with my good friend and yours, suddenly an Ole Miss fan, Mr. Shaun Yurtkuran. Good morning, Shaun.
Good morning. Good morning.
Man, I tell you what, we made it through another week. Well, we made it to the last day of another week. We got the new streaming software working.
Yeah.
And I want to address one thing about all that. You had a buddy, a listener of the show, reach out and just we'll call it constructive criticism, right?
Sure.
I don't take anything as an insult unless it's legitimately an insult. He said, "Man, I love it. You got so much going on now with the new technology and the streaming and all this. And guys, I'll tell you, it will get more seamless. And I know it's been a little clunky the last couple of weeks trying to get the show online from a video standpoint. I appreciate y'all sticking with us. I felt like the last couple of days, especially since we got the new camera set up, that it has been way better. I probably do spend a little too much time reading the comments and not just doing a show. That will adjust on the fly a little bit. When I'm doing these events on Wednesday nights, it makes doing show prep really hard. Yeah. So sometimes I kind of have to wing it on certain days and kind of go into the treasure chest of archives.
Right. And the Clay Edwards greatest hits collection.
Yeah. And, let's talk about the Metro Center.
Yeah, right.
Speaking of the Metro Center, hold on. Real quick. So I just wanted to address that. I do know that it's been a little clunky, the flow of the show. So I expect by now, well, this should be the last time I have to address it, but I do expect that all that'll be good and over with by the end of the show today and starting fresh Monday. So, but one more thing. We go live online a few minutes earlier than we do the radio. So if there's no audio before 7:07, that's when my intro quits playing on the radio. Mm. If there's no audio, that's why. The audio works, and if you can't hear us talking, it's because I don't have the mics on, because our voices will bleed through the intro if we talk. So Just a heads up there, the first 2 minutes some mornings, if we go live at 7:05, may not have any audio, but just give it a minute and then it will. So, let's see here. Again, it's a Fafo Friday. Look, I dropped a new shirt last night, and this was for a cause. I got a couple of things I want to get off my chest concerning charitable type stuff real quick. Last night, shout out to Michael Applewhite, Shirt Shop Graphics. He's been able to take my visions and implement them to shirts and designs and stuff. And he created the Fafo logo exactly as I wanted it, which granted, I told him what I wanted and I sent him a version of it. It wasn't rocket science doing it, but he did it, got it exactly like I liked it. And we sold a truckload of those shirts. So what I decided to do, y'all know I participated in the Real Men Wear Pink fundraising campaign the last couple of years, 2 out of the last 3 years. And we raised a bunch of money to help save the Tatas. I'm a fan of the Tatas. I mean, I know Shaun's a fan of the Tatas. I think most men are definitely a fan of the Tatas.
It's very bipartisan.
Yeah, very bipartisan. Now there are some weirdos that like to cut theirs off, but
other than them, right?
To each their own. To each their own. But with that being said, I wasn't participating in the campaign this year as an ambassador, but it was still, I wanted to do something. I thought I had something in me, to be able to raise a little money for them. But my schedule just didn't permit being able to do all the events and everything this year, and I didn't have a cheerleader and all that this year. So I took the Fafo shirt. And we turned it into a breast cancer awareness shirt. And I'm super excited about it. I guess I should have had it saved to put on the screen here, but I will. During the break, I'll save it and put it up. It's on my Facebook page. On both of them, both of the Clay Edwards and the Save Jackson Facebook pages. And we took the Fafo and we turned the A into a pink ribbon. And $10 from every shirt. It's a black shirt, but you got the pink ribbon and the pink, we turned the G.I. Joe stuff pink. It looks really good. I mean, it legitimately is a good-looking shirt. It is $10 from every shirt is going to go to my friend Brandon Walker from WLBT. He's also one of my co-judges on the Cordless Corner, and just a great dude. I mean, I can't put it in any other words. He's taking part in it this year as an ambassador again. So I'm going to donate $10 from every shirt sold to Brandon's Real Men Wear Pink campaign. And, I mean, I think we got the ability to sell 500 to 1,000 of these shirts. I truly do. We got the capabilities to make them, ship them, and everything. It's just going to come down to you guys. They're $30 each. That's just what my shirts cost. It's a good shirt. We use the Tri-Blend Next Level T-shirts. We don't use no cheap Mull of the Mall type stuff for these. We do good shirts. If that Fafo logo's on something, it's on a good shirt. I don't want no cheap China stuff. Anyway, with all that said, buyfafo.com. Buyfafo.com. Grab you one of those shirts. It's going to a great cause. All of us have been, everybody knows somebody that's been affected by breast cancer. You know a girl, if not somebody out in your immediate family, somebody on the exterior of your family, or the peripheral, so to say. Also, we got that going. Super excited about that on a Fafo Friday. Dropped it last night at 8:00. You know, we've been not raising money, but that too. We've been collecting bottled water, doing a bottled water drive for our friends in Asheville, North Carolina. Every time I say Asheville, North Carolina, I feel like rock radio DJ. I don't know why. Anyway, yep. Like a rock star on stage. Asheville, North Carolina, are you ready to rock and roll tonight? Anyway, we probably around 1,000 cases of water, I'm guessing, give or take, just based on what was at Burgers and Blues, and assuming that everybody else had a good drop offs. And we ran into a problem yesterday. The U-Haul truck, they gave us 60% off, by the way, but it was still going to be $900 with the 60% off. We had between some donations, we had about $300 in cash with people that sent me or Kat or whoever. And so we still needed $600. I made a Facebook post, and I'm not going to tell the man's last name. I don't know if he wants his business out there, but just a friend of mine, Tim, that listens to the show. I met him from listening to the show. He reached out, and he donated the other $600 to the cause. And, man, I remember when those tornadoes tore through, was it Kentucky a couple years ago?
I think so, yeah.
Was it Kentucky about two or 3 years ago? He did a big fundraiser, a big drive, supplies drive, and drove it all up there right to the middle of the disaster area. So it was no surprise at all to me that this is the man that stepped up to help get us over the hump. And there was a lot of obstacles thrown in the way with this thing, and it's just, it was a nice reminder of look at God work. When you're doing something for the right reason, God will clear the way for you. And sometimes it's good to be reminded of that. Like firsthand experience. Yeah. Good to be reminded of that. So, hey, Brent Stevens says he just ordered 2 this morning. Thank you, Brent. Thank you. On the Fafo shirts. So, awesome. And the other shirts are available too. If you ordered a hoodie, all that should be here by the latter part of next week. And I
just
appreciate all
the cold
that.
Weather too, because I saw in the news it's going to drop 30 degrees next week.
Is it? Phenomenal.
30 degrees.
I may order me one too. So anyway, I just wanted to put that out there, man. We raise a lot of hell, praise a lot of Dale on this show, and we sometimes get consumed in negativity. So I just want to thank everybody out there for stepping up and helping make this whole thing happen. Thank you to Kat Jones and Chad. I don't know Chad's last name, but Chad's helping Kat, and just seeing this thing through. I mean, I thought it was cool. This all started Tuesday. By Wednesday, we had everything in place. We were doing the drop offs, and then by yesterday afternoon, we had all the money we needed to rent the truck, and Chad and Kat are gonna drive it personally to North Carolina Friday. I'm so excited for them to be able to do that. And the more I hear about the federal government dropping the ball on this whole thing, it's absolutely disgusting. Somebody said on the radio this morning, I'm decided to take advantage of my 3-month free trial on XM.
I've got that too. I've been listening to this.
There's a station called Patriot Radio. Mm-hmm. And I was looking for some news talk stuff, and I stumbled across it, and okay. The guy made a great point. He said, if Asheville, North Carolina, actually it was a guy that was harassing somebody. Anyway, neither here nor there. He just said maybe if they changed the name of Asheville, North Carolina to Ukraine or Israel, they could get all the funding they needed.
That's a good point. It's now called Israel, right?
Yeah. Israel, North Carolina.
That's right.
I tell you what, I ain't got no beef with Israel, but Ukraine. But before I changed the name of Ukraine, I just didn't suffer figure it out on my own. I let the federal government help me.
I mean, all joking aside, if you think about it, when the Congress gets together, when it really is some type of foreign intervention funding, whether it's Ukraine, I know you hate Ukraine or whatever, but it's the same for Israel, and it's generally pretty bipartisan on both fronts. There's some, of course, there's some faction of the Republican Party that's not for Ukraine, but there's a lot that are. I mean, and definitely
the what's the word I can never remember? The elites, the establishment.
Yeah, I mean,
the establishment Republicans are just all for Ukraine,
and they're all for Israel as well. And then you got the far left and Democrats are against the Israel funding, so it's kind of like split, like when you flip those two issues. But my point is, they come together and they get the money there for both, and whether it's this or Iraq or Afghanistan or whatever it is,
And all lefties are for giving money to Ukraine.
Yeah, but I'm talking about
they're not split on that. That's for sure.
They're not split on that, but they're split on Israel.
Yeah. Oh no, I know that.
Yeah.
But I was just thinking
where the Republicans are kind of split on. Well, I think the majority of Republicans are for Ukraine. There's a part that isn't. But
let's see here. I'm gonna get these cameras lined up. Oh, let's see. It's 2 minutes to the break. Shaun, have you seen this story? And we can hit it when we come back. We can take a little early break. We can hit it when we come back. Doug Emhoff, the second man.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris's husband, who she doesn't share a last name with. That's weird. That's weird, Shaun. They're just weird.
I don't know. There's a lot of people that don't do that, so each his own, I guess.
I mean, but they're not the vice president.
Yeah, but I mean that's very common. There are a lot of women don't take their husbands. I mean, you see that everywhere.
Yeah, strong, independent cat ladies.
I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying it's something that I don't. That's people choose to do what they choose to do, I guess.
Yeah, well, weird. Anyway, so he has been accused by an ex of slapping her so hard it knocked her out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I knew he had an affair. I know that's one thing I knew about.
Yeah, that too. And he's not a good guy. He's just not a good guy. And he would have been 47 years old when this happened. Same age as your very own Clay Edwards here. He would have been 47. And I'm just going to tell you, by 47, Shaun, do you think if a 47-year-old man, and this ain't a left-right thing here. I want your opinion on this. Do you think if a 47-year-old man lays his pimp hand down on a woman, that's the first time he's done that?
Doubtful, But, I guess the situation dictates, right? People change over time.
Sure.
That could happen. I don't know. I've seen so many different things.
Yeah, I know, especially in your position as a prosecutor. I mean,
I've seen somebody just loses it and ends up becoming a serial killer later in life. You never know. I mean, it just things happen. But I know you get your point. Like,
yeah, I mean,
you generally, if you're an abuser, there's a pattern of abuse.
Yeah,
most times.
But by 47, you kind of are who you are when it comes to your moral compass.
Yeah, I would think so. Well, obviously he didn't really. I mean, I'll give you this. I mean, he was messing around on his wife too. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's like the greatest person in the world.
Yeah, had an affair with the nanny.
Yeah, I mean, that's just as my Truman example in the Truman book. You can't be honest to your wife and children who didn't trust you in business or politics. That's what he always said. So that was an interesting line. What's
the Supreme Court justice that got accused of having sex at a party when he was like 17?
Oh, Kavanaugh.
But so during the Kavanaugh hearings, Kamala Harris said, "We have to believe all women."
Yeah, man, I tell you what, that one.
Do you think she believes this accuser?
No, I mean, I'm sure not, or maybe she does, and she does. I don't know. It seems to me. I'll be honest with you. It seems to me like she doesn't really. How do I put this? It just seems like she got married to I'm married kind of thing. That's why I always took that. It just looks that way to me. I could be wrong, and I don't want to Kind of
like how I feel about not Brandon Walker, Brandon Presley.
Yeah, it kind of feels that way.
He got married to campaign.
Yeah, and a lot of people do that. I mean, that's not a right-left issue either. That's just a political issue. Yeah. People do that for politics. So it just kind of seemed like
I got married just because I've never been married. So my excuse is terrible too.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. So it just it just seemed like, because I mean, I think she was like, when she was close to 50 for the first time she ever got married, I think, right? Yeah, something like that, close to it.
She doesn't have any kids of her own, which I mean, teach their own.
Yeah, I'm not going to judge on that at all. I mean, it was she was definitely. I think she had already been. I think she was like in her second term of as attorney general or something when she got married.
But the foundation of the Democrat Party, though, is built regardless how you feel about it, the foundation of the Democrat Party currently is built on single, no children having women. White, single, no children having women is the base of the Democrat Party.
There's a lot of that. I would agree, right? Actually, I did look at these numbers. Overall, though, it's something like if you're a single woman without any children, it's like 85% vote Democrat. I think it's a really high number. And if you're married with children, actually the number is 54% vote Democrat. So women, even the married women with children, 54% of them are voting Democrat. So it's women overall, or just there's a huge gender gap. We've talked about this before in this election right now. Like Kamala Harris is winning like plus 30 with women, and Trump is same numbers with men. That's kind of like that's what we're looking at in this election. So there's just this is the biggest gender gap ever in the election.
And generally speaking, it's really unattractive women. Like real talk, most attractive women. I'm not saying there's not attractive Democrat women.
Yeah.
But we know some. Mm-hmm. Your sister's an attractive woman.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, it's very unattractive women who are just kind of angry at men because they're unattractive, and it's just like the flip side that men that hate women because they're overweight and
the incel
don't
dudes,
like them, the incel types.
They're like just like what's it? What I read, like there's this group of men that think that like women owe them sex or something. It's something insane like that.
Yeah, the whole incel thing is weird.
It's so weird, man.
But there is this and over here on the conservative side, it's a lot of, for a lack of a better word, machismo, a lot of, testosterone, manly men, tend to.
Well, that's why I think men are trending. I've read a lot about that because they feel like the Democrats aren't allowing them to, be a dude. And that's kind of an issue.
And those kind of single cat lady, no children having type women really dislike that kind of man. Mm-hmm. So I think that pushes them further to the Democrat Party.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's some truth to that. There's, this has really been interesting this year about that.
But I love this conversation. Yeah. We went 4 minutes over. Let's hold it. When we come back, we're going to pick up right where we left off. Check out the comments. Join us online. We're streaming live on the Save JXN Facebook, YouTube, X, and the Clay Edwards Show Rumble. This is the Clay Edwards Show with my good friend and yours, our favorite attorney, Shaun Yurtkuran. We'll be right back. All right, guys, give us just a minute. We'll be right back. I got to get a few things together for this next segment. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB. And, of course, we're streaming worldwide on WYAB.com as well as the TuneIn app and Alexa. And, of course, we're on all of the social media platforms with video in 4K. 4K Clay. I like that. I got a little connector problem here with my
phone. Me too, just a little bit. I can hear on the right side, but not the other side.
Do what?
I can hear out of this side, but not this side. Well, it's good enough.
Anyway, always some technical difficulties going on. Let's put a caller on hold real quick. I got to do an ad read here. Hey, guys, next Friday night, October 11th. Friday, October 11th. If you've ever been to Floribama, the Floribama, you've seen Big Earl and the Sexual Biscuits. Frankly, with a band name like that, sign me up. Sign me up. It was the cue was on.
That's it. Man.
Big Earl and the Sexual Biscuits live in concert next Friday. Shuckers on the Reservoir. This band is so much fun. I got to go to Floribama for the first time last month. I'd never been before. And, man, did I have fun. I burned it down, son. Had a good old time with Big Earl and the Sexual Biscuits. So they're doing their last tour ever outside the state of Alabama. Earl's going to keep it closer to home, keep it closer to Floribama moving forward. So they got one last ride of music and mayhem. And it's going to be at Shuckers next Friday night, 1 week from today. It's going to be a guaranteed sellout. Tickets are $35. You can swing by Shuckers and get them in advance. I think the way I understood it was that guarantees you a seat, and everything else after that is standing room only. So if you want to, if you're frankly, who needs a seat? You're going to a concert. I hate reserved seating at concerts, but neither here nor there. Even at my ripe old age, Big Earl next Friday night, Shuckers on the Res. Don't meet me there. Beat me there. Shout out to Daryl Dirty D Arnold on getting the job as the manager over there at Shuckers, and immediately reaching out to the Clay Edwards Show to help promote this party. I'm excited about it. I will, in fact, be at Shuckers for this event. This reeks of Clay Edwards from top to bottom. I'll see if I can't drag Mr. Yurtkuran out, and we're going to have us a good old time. So just circle the date next Friday. Big Earl and the Sexual Biscuits. If you've been to Floribama, you know how much fun these guys are. He does a lot of comedy and stuff as well. This is not good, clean family fun. Leave the kids at home. They're not allowed in Shuckers anyway. It's going to be a little raunchy, as you can tell by the name of the band, and I like a little raunchy on a Friday night in central Mississippi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, might as well.
That's the most mundane answer.
Sorry, I was reading the stuff we were about to talk about. My bad. Mm-hmm. I got stuck into this.
Yeah, well,
that happens sometimes.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. All right, so Big Earl Sexual Chocolates next Friday. Go by Shuckers. Get your tickets now. You don't want to be left out. You want to be able to say, when we look back, I was there. Say, I was there at Shuckers when Big Earl and the Sexual Biscuits played their last show outside the state of Alabama.
There you go. Wouldn't miss it.
Outside the Floribama. No, I'm not going to miss it. When I figured out who it was.
I didn't think not much takes. It's hard to get you to get to Shuckers, though. So
it's not,
you know, that'd be like saying there's a great band at Martin's. You're going to go, I mean, I'd be there anyway. So.
Yeah. I was probably going to be there.
Yeah.
So, man, thank you all for jumping in and buying these shirts. I've been getting the notifications here through the breaks. So, all right. So I guess a female-heavy show today. We're saving tatas and we're dissecting women voters. Let's go. We got a caller on hold. Okay. Let's hit the caller on the Mazda Jackson phone line real quick. Hey, thanks for staying on hold. You're on there.
What's going on? Good Friday morning.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Not much. Hey, they won my vote over. They done put me over. The boss has put out his support for the tampon people.
Say that again.
So the boss has pulled over for Harris. They won my vote.
Oh, because
gotta go with Bruce.
Bruce
Springsteen.
Oh, the boss. I'm sorry.
Oh, I didn't know you meant.
Yeah, I heard him talking about that. Well, did you expect anything different? I love it when these rich celebrities decide to tell us that they really don't understand their fan base, for one. Like, if there was ever somebody who I thought would have a quasi-conservative fan base, it's Mr. Born in the USA.
Yeah, I would think so. But he's also from New Jersey, right?
Yeah.
And that's a solidly Democratic state.
Well, it gets me too that people won't go and do nothing for themselves and follow something like it. I mean, just like, can you not think for yourself? I mean, that's what this country has come to over with the TikTok and everything goes. It's like, my God, because MSNBC, I watch it in the morning just get the blood pressure going, but that's all they talk about for 30 minutes.
I try not to get mine going in the mornings. I think this radio show has that same effect on folks sometimes. So
It does. That's the reason I love it so much. What I do, I'm out here in the construction world, so I go ahead and try to get the frustration out of them in the morning.
Yeah.
That way I can just have a cool breeze, flow through the day, not let nothing get up on me.
Hey, and you're not hurting anybody, along the way.
That's right. All right, gentlemen, y'all have a blessed and safe weekend.
Hey, you too, brother. Thank you, Chris. Always good hearing from you.
Thanks.
Good hearing y'all too. Thanks.
I love Chris, man. He's a good dude. One of the callers I've actually got to meet in person.
Oh, really? That's cool.
A couple times. He's good folk. Good folk, as they say.
Awesome.
All right, Shaun. So you got some numbers for us on
man, I got some interesting stuff. So, okay, it's I've read a lot about this over this last year. How this divide's going on. How women are turning left, men are turning right, and it's the largest time in history you've seen this kind of divide. So something interesting said. So there are 2.4 million more women on U.S. college campuses than men right now. That's the first time in history that college is just overwhelmingly becoming more female. I think the percentage of college is like 55 to 45.
Well, I think men are getting back into trades too.
Yeah, and they're just not going to college as much as women are, right? Yeah, I mean, trade schools are great. I think, man, that's another issue. We could go in a rabbit hole. How much I believe in that kind of that philosophy, but interesting. Men are more likely than women to want marriage and kids. The percentage of 18 to 34-year-old women wanting kids has fallen to 45% versus 57% for men. So there's just changing attitudes and genders that have happened over the course of the last 20 years. Right now, it's young women identify as liberal 40%, moderate 37%. Young men are conservative, or they're at I think 29%. And liberal, the young men that identify as liberal, 25%, and they identify as conservative. Excuse me. Young men, I'm having a brain fart this morning. Young men identify conservative 29% versus 25% young men for liberal. So they're both genders are just moving to different directions, completely different directions for different reasons. And I think a lot of that has to do with what we were saying in the last segment, where the left has kind of made it, this whole toxic masculinity thing, right? Where men are like, wait a second, I'm still a guy. I want to be a guy. I want to go, play G.I. Joes when I'm a kid and then get older and go hunting and fishing and doing all that kind of stuff. The stuff we like to do, drink beer and, raise hell. That's what guys like to do. So the left hasn't really provided them with that and made them feel, doing things like that are toxic. And so that's why they have moved more right. And women, the reason they felt like the right has kind of like, I guess, messed with their personal rights. Not necessarily they're all, I want to get an abortion, but they're like, wait a second, now I'm being controlled by this group of people ever since the fall of Roe. So there's a lot of reasons for different reasons they're going in different directions.
Yeah, I'm very angered at a lot of women who are putting everything else in America behind their right to kill babies. Like they have put this is their hill to die on issue. Move to a state where you can kill your baby.
I think. I don't
Why
think it's
should all
just
of us have
that,
to suffer
though.
because you couldn't keep your legs closed?
I think it's more like, even if, like, let's say you're a woman that can't have kids, right? You just don't want kids. I think it's more that, like, wait, this group of people are telling me that I can't do something that I should be able that I think I should be able to do. Like, I think it's more that issue than it is,
But those are the same people who told us we all had to get a damn vaccine and wear a mask.
Well, yeah, of course, and then the pro-life people are doing the same thing. That they're like, oh no, my body, my choice, except if it's abortion. So I mean, it's the same thing. But
no, it's not the same thing, Shaun. Killing a baby is not the same thing as wearing a mask and getting a vaccine.
Okay,
not the same thing.
Okay, well,
not the same thing. That's where that argument. I know it's a little clapback, and that all went on through COVID, but on abortion and somebody trying to force you to get inoculated is not the same thing.
Okay, all right. Well, I disagree, but that's fine. I know we're not going to agree on that one, but that's the issue. It's just they feel that they're being told they can't do something, and even because these are women that are like in their 50s that are liberal, that are voting because of that issue, so they're not going to have kids. But I think it's that issue, like you're telling women you can't do something.
Yeah. So I get it. I get what you're saying. I just wildly disagree with that being somebody's hill to die on. Was like, you know what? Since I can't get abortions, I want to pay more in taxes. I want our border wide ass open. I want more innocent women raped and murdered in the streets by these illegal immigrant monsters. I'm willing to sacrifice all that because I can't have an abortion.
And I see what your point is, and I don't necessarily disagree with what you're saying on that. Yeah. Like, why should that be the number one issue, for somebody? Especially if it didn't affect you. You know what I mean? Like, if it didn't affect you.
Gay men out there doing gay men and lesbian women are typically the overwhelming majority of these people at these pro-choice rallies.
Yeah, I mean, no, in
theory, it shouldn't affect either one of them if they're staying true to the game.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, that's what I thought about. Like, somebody, okay, let's say you're somebody that's religious and you don't believe in gay marriage. Okay, like you're very religious, you don't believe in that, but you agreed with the Democrats on everything else. You were for certain social welfare programs. You believed in those kinds of things, and that was the only reason you weren't voting for them is because they were pro-gay marriage or for that. That's kind of stupid when you think about it, because I think Reagan even said, if you agree with me, 80 or 90% of the time, we're cool, right? Like, that's what I want. Yeah, I see what you're saying on that point. The another facts here. So 71% of Democratic college students said they wouldn't go on a date with someone who voted for the opposing presidential candidate. Fewer young people are willing to be friends or date someone who doesn't share their politics.
Well, do you feel like we need to take a break?
Yeah.
Let's take a break. Make a note. We're going to pick up right there at the not dating somebody of a different political persuasion. I think that has a lot to do with people swapping out their politics for their religion.
I think that's a good point.
All right, we'll be right back with Shaun Yurtkuran here on the Clay Edwards Show. I'm seeing all your texts. Y'all are loving our arguing, so that's always a good day at the office when if I can get the schedule to pull back up here. Here we go. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here live on WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the Save Jackson YouTube, Facebook, X, and the Clay Edwards Show Rumble. Shaun, it is a Fafo Friday. It's good to be back on the air with you after a couple days. We've had a lot going on. This segment is going to be brought to you by our friends over at A1 Gear and Auto. Check out Justin Nelson and his team today for all your automotive repair needs. man, the last thing you want to do is have to get a car fixed. But if you do, you want to make sure it's done right the first time. Make sure it's diagnosed right the first time. And that is going to happen at A1 Gear and Auto. The boss man himself gets in there, drives them down the road if they're drivable, diagnoses what it is, comes back, boom, gets the team on it. And it's going to be, I just keep going back to this. I know y'all get tired of me saying it, but it's going to be ready when they say it's going to be ready. It's not going to cost any more than they told you it was going to cost unless they run into something along the way. And you pre-approve that updated expenditure or that upgraded money, whatever. That's just important, man. I always hear about, as a car salesman, you always hear about shady car salesmen. As a mechanic, you always hear about shade trees, shady mechanics, and all that stuff. And you're not getting any of that over at A1 Gear and Auto. You're getting the truth, whether you want to hear it or not, about what's wrong with your vehicle. And they're not going to fix anything that don't need fixed, and they're going to get you rolling. But what they specialize in, that's anything, from a check engine light to your air not blowing cold, or maybe as it starts to cool off out here, your heater ain't working right. They got you covered. But what they specialize in is your ring and pinion. You may not understand what your ring and pinion does. A lot of us aren't mechanically inclined, but trust me, when it starts messing up, you'll know it, because you're going to start hearing a roaring sound. You're going to feel some slack in your rear end, or your front end. You're going to know when your ring and pinion is messed up. They specialize in fixing it. If you have any problems like that, get over there. See them today. Highway 49 South, Florence, Mississippi. A1 Gear and Auto. Shaun, we just got a text from Frederick. Are we doing lunch?
I got to be. It's funny. We got the Rankin assistant DAs and the DA coming in here a little while, but I actually have to go to the DA's office at 11 in the morning. So when I get done with that, yes, it shouldn't take that long.
Okay. Well, we may be having lunch at Martin's today. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see. I know I enjoyed it last Friday.
Yeah, it was great. It was a lot of fun. The live remote out there. We're going to try to do a lot more of those, hopefully. So,
where are we picking up at?
We are picking up with dating, which is kind of a funny subject for me, about dating somebody of the opposite political persuasion. It says fewer young people are willing to be friends or date someone who doesn't share their politics. You actually made a good point about how people replace politics with their religion. I think that's 100% true.
People ever replace their religion?
Religion, politics. Excuse me. Yeah. And I think that's really true. This was not this way 25 years ago. You know what I mean?
Like, you could sit next to a Democrat in church.
Yeah, you could. I mean,
I don't know this to be fact. I don't drill people at church about their political beliefs. I go to church for church. Right. Imagine that.
Yeah.
But I'm curious what the demographic, what the political split is at your average church, because I feel like, and I've said this publicly, and I back off this a little bit as I've got to know people like you and some others. But if you just look at everything you see online, like, I question how you can be a Democrat and a Christian, but it all goes back to abortion.
Right.
So I'm just curious, and I know there's some churches that are very Democrat leaning, especially here in the Jackson Fondren area.
There's tons. Yeah.
They read the word a different way. But with all that said, that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But with all that said, I can't imagine sitting down next to somebody at church and asking them their political. Well, are you a Democrat? Are you a Republican? It just doesn't make sense to me. But on the dating thing,
well, church attendance has, and I think I saw some stats like maybe a month ago, has decreased over the last 20 years substantially overall of all political, anybody, gender, women, all that stuff.
I'm gonna tell you what, not here locally.
Well, yeah, in the South is a little different, I think, but nationally, it's down. I
can only see it through my lens,
right?
It's just like talking about Democrat women in the South, or suburban housewives not voting for Trump. That's just not here.
Yeah, I mean, it's not here, but overall, it's down. It was like 42% 20 years ago. I'm putting up, and now it's at 30% of U.S. adults attend church regularly. So that's what it's got to that.
I know my church just expanded.
Yeah,
it's growing.
Well, I think, honestly, the South is always culture. It's got every region of the country is cultural. You got their own ways of doing things. South has always been more religious than any other part of the country anyway.
Sure.
So I think, you don't see that here as much as you would in somewhere else, like even, let's say in the Midwest, Ohio, or, East New York or something like that. So, but overall, statistically, it's just declined. And I think what kind of goes to what you're saying, politics have replaced that with people where they're so passionate about even the issues that they don't even understand half the time. You know what I mean? I find that interesting, where they don't, they just say, this is what I am, and they don't really, they don't really dig deep into it or whatever. They just like that, just become their religion, and they just go with it.
No, I agree 100%. They have, and it's like, well, what do the Democrats believe on this? That's what I do. What do the Republicans believe on this? That's what I do.
Yeah.
That's why I like to be able to have these conversations and talk about stuff and peel. I always say peel the onion back. I like to peel the onion back and kind of get to the root cause,
right?
Kind of like, where did let's get back to the beginning. Where did we split up here? Where did we get so divided that now, women, and I was trying to pull up, there was a meme I was looking for. I just cannot find it, but it was from a Reddit post about a woman looking for, she says, why? She goes, I'm looking for a masculine man, but that's not conservative for some reason. I'm looking for a masculine Democrat man. We've talked about this before. Yeah. So I'm looking for a masculine Democrat man, but they all just seem to be conservative. What's the problem? Like, well, I mean, there's not that many of them. A lot of Democrat men, not all, obviously, yourself for one, are kind of soy little dudes that just aren't masculine. They little wiener energy. I mean, just.
Well, it's funny, but I was watching Sager and Crystal, right, that ship Breaking Points I like last night, and there was a statistic about white working class men and the parties they vote for. So in 1992, Bill Clinton was plus 30 with white working class men, plus 30, and now Trump is.
Yeah,
I mean, isn't that incredible? Like when you think about that, like that's that kind of statistic, and like shown where things have shifted from that. So you have a Bill Clinton because a white working class man in 1992 was never going to vote for George H.W. Bush, because that part of the Republican Party didn't really offer them anything. And I think you're seeing that now with white working class men. They're like, well, the Democratic Party doesn't really offer me anything. They're going to tell me that I'm an a-hole because I want to be a dude, So they're looking at it like that, and that's completely shifted. So I'm waiting for the time when like the elitist country club set is like all Democrats, that were Republicans, and like and then Democratic Party becomes like fiscal conservatism. It's going to be the weirdest shift ever.
I think if Trump wins, that's going to happen.
It could. I mean, it could. Democrats might have to shift their whole theory on government, at that point, because all the country club folks are going to join them. I guess we're going to be Democrats now.
And I don't even want to say establishment conservatives. You're elitist conservatives.
Yeah.
The millionaire class end up. I think they're going to shift to Democrat, because I don't know why either, because I feel like the Trump tax breaks and policies all help them. Right. But maybe they have foreign interest.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, do they? I think maybe because they feel like they're being cut out of the party, and they want some power somewhere. I don't know if they're going to get that with the Democrats either. But I also don't know what's left of the. I don't know what the Democratic Party is these days, to be honest with you. And what I mean is like unfortunately, and this is James Carville who talks about this quite a bit, it's become like a West and East Coast elitist party, which is unfortunate. It's not like I just gave those numbers up, plus 30 with working white men, Bill Clinton's numbers. Like that party has disappeared completely. And so I don't know what you're left with. I think I guess it'd be heavily female, right? That's one thing, obviously, with the numbers that we're looking at. And then just West Coast, West and left,
East and
West Coast. Sorry, elitist party. I think it's kind of weird. You don't have that base of. You're also not necessarily a party of all minorities. You're part. It's still you have a majority blacks are voting for you. But I looked at last night. I was looking at the Hispanic numbers. 37% are voting for Trump. You know how many Joe Biden he got? How many? I think he got last time like 22%, but now it's 37%. So you're steadily creeping in on. Hispanic vote is going to the Republicans. More and more it'll be at 50% at one point.
Working class people.
Yeah, see what I'm saying? So like I don't know what you're going to be left with. It's going to be interesting.
You're going to be left
if you don't shift your views on certain issues, I think
you're going to be left with a bunch of LGBTQs. You're going to be left with a bunch of black for a living angry black folks. You're going to be left with a bunch of illegal aliens. I mean, and good luck.
But heck,
with that.
they seem to be voting for the Republicans too, based on the numbers are going. You know what I mean? That's what's interesting. So,
look, they're talking about the Latinos.
Well, yeah. I mean, if the numbers go like this, they're going to 37%, and like Trump keeps getting that, eventually over time, that's gonna, gonna.
But I said illegals, not Latinos.
Right.
So difference there. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. We're going.
Oh, they're here.
Oh. I want to stay on for a minute.
Okay. Oh, they're
All
here.
All right, so we're going to stay online here for just a second. We got our guests starting to come in here. Actually, so we're not going to stay on. I got to get this set up. Y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back to close out hour one here on the Clay Edwards Show. We got our folk from the Rankin County D.A'S office here in the studio this morning. We're going to talk about the Carly Gregg stuff again. So kind of put a button on that. interested to see that. These guys have been making the rounds on all the media podcasts and news and everything. So
been pretty popular this week.
Looking forward to talking to Michael and Catherine. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show here with Shaun Yurtkuran on WYAB. My mic stand was in the way of my beautiful camera there. We got about a minute left here for the top of the hour break. We've got Catherine and Michael from the Rankin-Madison County DA office here in the studio. They're going to do hour 2 with us, and we're going to talk about this Carly Gregg trial and some of the stuff that's been going on since the trial. Guys, it's going to be a big second hour. I'm looking forward to it. Get out to Get out to 042 Wine and Spirits. Speaking of Rankin County, get out to 042 Wine and Spirits this weekend for all of your wine and spirits needs. I'll tell you more about them during the next hour. We'll be right back on WYAB. All right, guys, we got to get set up for this next hour. We'll be back in 7 minutes. Y'all don't go anywhere. Hit that share button, as a matter of fact. Hit the like button. Hit subscribe. Drop a comment. Do all that good stuff. Help us overcome the big tech algorithm there. And we'll try to get some of your comments and stuff as well. We'll be right back. On Saturday, October 12th at Pearl City Park for the annual Oktoberfest and Gumbo Festival. That's right, Saturday, October 12th, 2024. There's going to be beer because you can't have an Oktoberfest without Clay and Shaun. I mean beer. There's going to be live music, food, vendors. It's going to be a big old car show and a kids zone. Hey, you think you got what it takes to make some award-winning gumbo? Think you can win some money? Check this out. It's also their annual gumbo cook-off, again, Saturday, October 12th at the City Park in Pearl. Main Street Pearl presents. Check out these cash prizes. First place is going to get $1,500. Second place, $1,000. Third place, $750. Think you can decorate your booth better than anybody else? How about a $250 prize for the most spirited, decorated booth? Hey, Main Street Pearl is going to pick their favorite gumbo. If it's yours, there's $500 in your pocket. Again, join me and my co-host, Shaun Yurtkuran, as we broadcast live from Oktoberfest in Pearl. Saturday, October 12th, the party starts at 10. Shaun and I will be there sometime after lunch. We hope to see you there. What's the old saying? Don't meet me there, beat me there. 2024, Oktoberfest and Gumbo Festival, Pearl City Park, Saturday, October 12th. Stay blessed. Boom, shakalaka boom. We're back here live on the Clay Edwards Show on WYAB, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as TuneIn app, Alexa, the Save Jackson YouTube, Facebook, and X page. And also we're on Rumble. Just search Clay Edwards Show. We have this segment is going to be brought to you. We got a big event this weekend that I'm going to be enjoying myself at Sunday. It's the Rankin County Bucking Bronc Bash. Say that 4 times really fast. Rankin County Bucking Bronc Bash down at 122 Justin Drive in Pillahatchee, Mississippi. Going to be a good time. Doors swing open at 12:30. The action starts at 2 p.m. They're going to be barrel racing, bareback, and of course, bull riding. Kids under 10 get in for free, and it's only $12 for everybody else. So don't miss out on the Rankin County Bucking Bronc Bash this Sunday at 122 Justin Drive in Pillahatchee, Mississippi. Going to be a great time. We talked to one of the rodeo clowns yesterday on the show. Really, really excited about that. We got a bunch of events we're going to be a part of here moving forward on the Clay Edwards Show, the live remotes, all that good stuff. Me and Shaun will be out at McBee's tomorrow morning doing our sports show, our Saturday morning football kickoff show. If y'all are out and about, swing by after about 10:30, 11, and just say hey to us. Be a good old time over there. Watch it, stream online, whatever. It don't matter. It's going to be a good time. We had a fun time doing that last week. So, look, with all that said, we got Catherine Newman. We got Michael Smith here with the Rankin-Madison County D.A'S office. They were the prosecutors on the Carly Gregg murder trial. that has consumed central Mississippians for the last couple of weeks anyway. And really, frankly, since it happened, I remember when this murder happened, I was talking about the Real Men Wear Pink campaign this morning. I was actually going to the Real Men Wear Pink ball or some event that we were doing for them when I was doing that last year. I was walking out the door when people started texting me saying, hey, there's something, whatever that neighborhood was it Farmington maybe?
That's correct, Farmington.
Oh, sorry. What was it?
Yeah, that's correct, Farmington Station.
Farmington Station, yeah. So I remember, that kind of stuff just don't happen that much out in Rankin County. So I was like, something's going on. And put it in the back of my mind. By the time I got back home, some details that started trickling out. And I was like, well, this is weird. A 14-year-old, just all that thing. The whole thing was just sad. And then as the details come out, it's even sadder. Mm-hmm. And y'all had a tough job. And having Shaun's prosecutorial experience here on the show and getting to hear from him and talk about, sometimes, it's tough to do your job because you don't want to put a 14-year-old in jail for life. But clearly, this particular 14-year-old, I'll say this and speak for myself here, was bat crap crazy.
But not McNaughton insane. Just let's remember that.
But not McNaughton insane. Yeah, but she was bat crap crazy, and I don't mean that in the insanity way. I know
what you mean. That's what that's exactly.
If you decide that whatever it was they were fighting over, that killing your mother, that cold-blooded is the conflict resolution or lack thereof. If that's how you think you handle that, you're obviously a crazy person. And then aside from that, what she did with the stepdad, I think, even though she didn't kill him, maybe even crazier than what she did with the mom, because that was absolutely calculated, premeditated, and attempted murder.
Just backtracking on something you said a second ago, how it's in capital, it's consumed the attention of Central Mississippi, and I think a lot of people around the country are really interested in because of the court TV stuff. And it's amazing. Clay and I were having this discussion yesterday about how true crime people just love it. They're just upset. You guys have now experienced that for this whole week of media attention, and they just get, I always wonder why that is. And, I think I told you I did a documentary last year on Hulu and just like the kind of people, the kind of money that goes into this thing. And I was like, for a minute there, I told Clay last year, I said, man, I need to get on some of this, man. This is the life I lived. I was like, why are all these people making the money? It's not fair. So maybe you guys will write a book or something,
Yeah, I mean, I hope not. I hope we can finish up the few motions that we have left, and this can go on to appeal. And like we've said from the Friday that the verdict came down, really, Clay, like you said, there are no winners in this case. The whole situation was and is sad. You've got a 41-year-old lady who should be in the prime of her life right now, who is now dead murdered at the hands of her 14-year-old daughter, who, by all accounts, was very bright and excelled in lots of different ways in her own right. I mean, made a 30 on her ACT when she was 13. I never made a 30 on my ACT even when I was 18. But skipped fourth grade, and but yeah, I mean, looking at the whole case, I mean, in the eyes of the law, she's an adult, because of the crime that she committed, and that's the way we proceeded with the case.
No, great job. Y'all went about it the right way, and I think the verdict was right. And kudos to the judge for the sentencing and all that. I think it was textbook done right from top to bottom. Let me ask this, because there's been a lot of speculation. What did she kill her mom for? What were they arguing about? I've heard multiple things, from cigarettes to vape pens to she was trans and mama wasn't letting her live as a man. I mean, what was it? A combination of all of that?
So kind of what we talked about at the trial was the state of Mississippi doesn't require us to prove the why, right? We're only required to prove that Carly Gregg did on March 19, 2024, kill her mom without authority of law. And we certainly were able to do that. However, we also put on testimony, and so did the defense, that this started over Carly's quote-unquote secret life, right? She back in January, mom had found that she was using an old iPod, sort of like a burner phone. She had all these social media accounts that she wasn't supposed to have, had a boyfriend she wasn't supposed to have. So fast forward to March 19th, one of her best friends goes to mom at school, says, hey, I'm worried about Carly. She's getting high all the time. She's got these vape pens at home. She also has a burner phone you guys didn't know about. So, of course, we know now that Ashley Smiley, who this is all about, Ashley Smiley confronts Carly on the way home, goes through her book bag, and that's by Carly's account to the mental health evaluators. And then they get home, and, of course, unfortunately, everybody's seen the video, right, where Carly goes outside with the dogs, and then the next thing she does, some about 14 minutes later. So they come home inside at 3:56. By 4:14, Carly has shot Ashley twice in the face and once kind of under the chin. And so, I mean, the why is we will never know, but for best we can tell, it's because she got mad that Mom had found out about her vape pens and guns.
So the trans stuff isn't true.
We don't have any proof of that. Carly's friends,
well, she had a boyfriend, so that kind of trumps that a little bit for me.
That's right. And Carly's friends called her Carl. I think that was just sort of a nickname. But we've not seen any kind of proof that there was any issue with trans. She did mention to one of her therapists after she cut her hair off that her mom asked her, her mom asked her if that was to look more like a boy, and she said no. So that's really all we know about the trans stuff.
Okay. Well, it's so funny. It's like sometimes, like these things run wild on the internet, and then you get a simple answer.
And
like, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, like they said, they were on Lindsay's podcast the other day, and the whole rumors about the stepdad, where we talked, Clay, about that there may have been something. They kind of just said, we don't really, there's no evidence of that at all whatsoever. So I think it's sad for him in the community, too, after what he's gone to, that people are kind of saying that,
Yeah, I mean, I made a video clearing that up, like on my own, because we did some speculation on this show too.
Yeah,
we
did.
Well, that's what we do for one thing, and it's what the internet was doing.
We stir things up. That's right.
We do. So I made a video and just say, hey, specifically, this did not happen. And you know what really cleared it up for me from clearing him was it was one of those aha moments. It was, oh yeah, this is the Rankin County DA's office. If that was something that was legitimately a chance of that happening, surely y'all investigated that. And if that had happened, we'd be having a different conversation right now.
Yeah.
So I just for whatever reason, it just hit me in layman terms like that. I was like, this guy didn't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And kind of going back to what Shaun said, and we've talked about this too. I mean, there was absolutely no evidence that there was anything inappropriate going on between Heath and Carly. And like we've said, I mean, everybody grieves differently. I'm not saying the way he grieves is the way I would, or that it's wrong or right or anything else. But we did investigate that. We had to the extent, or the sheriff's office investigated that to the extent that they could. For what I'll call a toy. We've talked more about it on other mediums, but we found a toy, or the investigators found a toy in Carly's room that was tested for DNA. It only came back to her DNA, and actually only a female's DNA. There was no male DNA on there. We had,
I would hope not.
Yeah, right. We had, we had Carly's phone, and we had Heath's phone. All of those were extracted. There was nothing in the phones, and Carly never made any disclosure to any medical provider or any of the therapists that there was anything inappropriate going on.
So, I guess we'll leave it up to y'all's imagination. What kind of sexual toy a female would have? I guess the most popular one is what they found. Not sure. I want
the one everybody has, Clay. Just say it that way.
Yeah, the one most females have.
Okay, let's just do it that way.
One of the most females have. We'll just say that and leave it at that. But so at 14 years old, she had that and was just kind of figuring herself out, which I don't know that that's a weird age for that or not. It's saying it's weird to talk about a 14-year-old doing that, but I'm sure that's when you start boys, we start developing our,
you had Hustler magazines at that age, so yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, the classy one was Playboy, and then the Hustler was almost,
that was the raunchy one, yeah.
The skanks.
That's the one you did when your mom defied. You're like, your mom, like, oh no.
They did what?
Yeah.
Anyway, keeping the train on the tracks here. We're on FM radio too,
right?
So, I tell you, that video, when I finally I was sitting at Martin's for lunch one day when I finally saw that video, and I was like, I see a lot. I mean, people send me a lot of stuff that I don't post online. I got video of people being murdered, all kind of stuff. And I mean, obviously that's the same thing, but actually seeing it happen. But you just take the full context of that being her mother, the ridiculous reason, if all that, even, I don't know if there's ever justification for just cold-blooded murder, but, if maybe the sexual abuse stuff, if that had been true, you could, okay, she's trauma dumping there or something or another. But that not being the case, it just being over a cell phone and some vape pens, you just see that. It's like, that's one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen. And then her reaction afterwards, and then the follow-up with the friend coming over and the shooting of the stepdad. I've heard a lot of people have asked this, like, some people have suggested they thought that the friend should have had charges pressed on her, and me personally, at 14, I thought that would have been the wrong move. She didn't know what she was coming over to. I'm assuming y'all proved that she didn't know that she had done this when she got there, till she got there. And then you're scared. You're like, well, she just killed her mother. If I don't go along, she would absolutely kill me. I mean, that's the first thing I would think as an adult or a 14-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely, Clay. So I want to, I can't remember if it was when we were on with Shaun and Lindsay or I've spoken to somebody else and I said, oh yeah, when I saw that video the next day, it was so chilling. The next day after law enforcement got it, right? Sorry, I want to make sure that I was clear about that. Law enforcement gets that video that you're talking about that we've all seen. That combined with the 911 call, the raw emotion from Heath Smiley, honestly, are two of the most chilling things I've ever seen. Carly was just so calm, calculated, and meticulous.
Calloused.
Yes, callous is a great word. I mean, just, knew what she was doing, went to get it, hit it. I mean, it's just heartbreaking to have seen something like that. And so you're right. I mean, we see awful things in this line of work, but that to me was just like the why. We wanted to know, right? We're trying to figure out, why would somebody do something like this? What can we do? Is there, we're humans too. We don't get pleasure in prosecuting anyone of any age, and certainly not a 14-year-old. And so we're like, is there a reason that she did this? And unfortunately, the only thing we could come up with was that, yeah, she got mad about this. And then, yes, so as to her friend that came over, the phone records show that 4:14, Carly kills mom. She immediately goes and picks up Ashley Smiley's phone, texts her stepdad, says, hey, when will you be home?
Pretending to be mom.
Yes, pretending to be Ashley. And then he says, I'll be a little while longer. She sends him a thumbs up. And there's been some conversations. People have messaged us and said, hey, I think you can hear Ashley saying, help me on that video.
That was a big debate. I was live streaming the verdict and showing the video and doing some other stuff. And that was a big debate we were having in my live stream was, could you hear her saying, help me? What was that?
So we've watched that video, unfortunately a number of times. I don't believe, based off of the injuries to Ashley Smiley, that was Ashley Smiley at all. What we think,
same here.
When we watch it back, we think Carly says something to the effect of, as she's sending the thumbs up, that's great. And then starts humming, right? So like, Heath's coming home. He'll be a little while longer. That's great. I've got some time. So at 4:16, Carly starts texting a number of her friends, FaceTiming friends, calling friends. At 4:58, her friend, who did not know what she was coming to help Carly with, all she knew was Carly had an urgent matter and she needed help. So she texts her and says, I'm here. And then, of course, by 5:03, Heath has come into the house. He's getting out of his truck. And then at like 5:05, 5:06, there's another video of the actual shootings happening. And then you see of him, and then you see the Carly and the friend run off. The friend had no idea what she was doing. She was trying to be a good friend. And then on top of that, like you'd indicated, she tells her, I just put 3 in my mom. She shows her mom's dead body. She says, I got 3 more waiting for my stepdad. And then she has a loaded gun in her hand as she's taking this friend around the house. Yeah. There are all sorts of things I would have done for that girl, in that moment.
To me, at that moment, the friend is a hostage.
Yes.
Not a co-defendant.
That's right. There was never any thought that she was going to be charged as the defendant. In fact, we talked a little bit about this the other day. There's actually the Milano instruction that says that there's no duty, even of an adult, to intervene in a crime. And so she had not committed a crime. She'd not done anything wrong. And in fact, after she leaves the scene, she calls her dad. He picks her up, and then they drive to the sheriff's department to report what had happened. All
right, let's take a break real quick. This is the Clay Edwards Show with our folks from the Rankin County D.A'S office, as well as Shaun Yurtkuran. We will be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show. This segment is going to be brought to you by our friends over at Havana Smoke Shop. Man, glad to have these guys on. Havana Smoke Shop in Jackson and Havana Cigars on the Res are your premier destinations for hand-rolled premium cigars in the Jackson metro area. Olivier, Arturo Fuente, Liga Privada, Romeo y Julieta. I should have practiced saying these words. Let's see here. And, of course, Macanudo, Monte Cristo, and Perdomo cigars, just to name a few. Come by either Havana Smoke Shop off 55 North Frontage Road or Havana Cigars on the Res off the Spillway, right down the road from Willie B's, Acme Pizza, the bowling alley, and all that good stuff. Get your favorite premium cigar and accessories today. And look, we are working on a little Clay Edwards Show meet and greet or cigar smoking adventure. I've never smoked a cigar in my life that didn't have something illegal in it. So This will be the first time I've smoked a tobacco cigar. It was a long time ago. Guys, don't pay no attention to me.
That's right. You live in Rankin County.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I didn't inhale, and apparently you're not supposed to inhale with cigars either.
No, you're not.
So I'm learning. But look, we're going to be out there. Hey, look, man, these are the same folks that have Brandon 042 Wine and Spirits, too. So I'm just thinking, man, stop by 042 Wine and Spirits, get you a nice bottle of bourbon or scotch or whatever your liqueur of choice is, a good bottle of red wine. And we tore through a bottle of 19 Crimes last night. Cooked a steak kind of spontaneously and knocked out a bottle of wine that I got from 042 Wine and Spirits, of course. Anyway, swing by, check out Havana Smoke Shop or Havana Cigars on the Res this weekend. Tell them Clay said hello, and I will let y'all know when we get the date locked in for a little Clay Edwards Show smokeout.
Nice.
It's a little different than the time I smoked out with Willie Nelson or Snoop Dogg.
When you got fired for smoking pot with Willie Nelson, which is a great story.
It makes for a great story.
You know?
A couple Black and Miles back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Good old times, man. Look, I've come a long way.
Yeah,
and I got some great stories to tell, and no felonies, and great stories to tell.
That's
the
shocker right there. At least, you know.
So yeah, somehow I dodged and bobbed and weaved, you know. So,
you're like, how are all these other guys getting caught? You know.
Well, look, man, we've got Catherine Newman, Michael Smith in here from the Rankin Madison County D.A'S office, discussing the Carly Gregg trial. And of course, we got Shaun Yurtkuran, who worked at the Hinds County DA's office for 10+ years as a prosecutor, got the only death penalty victory in Hinds County in the last 20-30 years. So I say congratulations to that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's it's pretty expensive to do the death penalty. I don't know if they're going to do it again. I don't foresee them doing that. And you know what, ours cost it cost a lot of money. We had to actually change venue to Lafayette County and Oxford, and then brought them back. You get just all the stuff that goes into it. So, considering Hinds County's fiscal shape, I remember back then that's a lot of things. Actually, it's an interesting thing dealing when you're doing a trial like that, dealing with the county getting mad at you from the kind of money that you're spending. Like that's another total logistical issue that I'm sure you guys probably, I don't know. Well, Rankin County's probably better because they got more money. You know, Hinds County was like, we don't have any money. What are you guys doing?
Well, and also Rankin County is the official Fafo county in Mississippi. I mean, let's just be honest.
I was thinking that the dynamics would be a bit different. Where Rankin County's like, of course you could seek the death penalty. Rankin County was like resistant. You know?
Yeah, Rankin Madison. I don't think you're going to get a whole lot of pushback there. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, really, the only pushback we need is to expedite it.
Yeah,
you know, like can we run through these appeals and get this done? There's sometimes you just know they're guilty. Like the Carly Gregg. I'm not saying Carly should have got the death penalty, but you knew she did it. There's no examining that from another angle. Like the fact they're talking about having another trial. Like why?
Right, right. I mean, if from the very first sentence, I think, from the defense and opening statements, in their words, it was never a whodunit. No. I mean, the question all along was just, was she insane at the time? And, there was a lot of testimony put on about that, and the jury didn't buy that argument. I think, there's been a lot of talk about the experts, and I think Dr. Pickett did a great job laying all that forward and laying all that out for the jury, putting a bow on it kind of right there at the end of the trial, and that was the last thing they heard, right before closing arguments going back. And again, it was never a question about did she do it. I mean, that wasn't even her argument. She didn't even make that defense. If
you guys have any questions from or for, should I say, our guest about the Carly Gregg trial, you can text us on the Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Or you can, if you're watching on the live stream, you can jump in the chat there and ask your questions there. If you're on YouTube, Facebook, X, or Rumble, we'll ask your questions there. Guys, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt about the defense in this case.
Quite a bit.
And especially post verdict, and some of the stuff that's been out in the media, and I try to defer to like Shaun on this because I don't know what a good lawyer is or what a good, I don't know. I've been trying to be careful, like throwing stones from my glass house on this one because I don't know what a good defense is, a bad defense. I mean, it was clear that they probably should have taken the plea deal. They should have never gone to trial, in my opinion. So I guess there's strike one. But who made that decision to not take that plea deal? Was it the family? Because she's 14 years old, so I mean, surely somebody has to be a guardian in this case. I don't know who the guardian would have been. Was it the biological father? Was it the stepdad? Did the attorney make the call? Did she kind of fight to go to trial, thinking that she could get this insanity plea? Are y'all privy to that? How did that all work?
Yeah, so we're actually not privy to some of that information, right? That happens between the defense attorneys and the actual defendant and whatever family members they allowed to be in those conversations. We do know that Judge Arthur did a great job, Judge Dewey Arthur, just like any of our other judges do on any case, really, whether it's a juvenile that's being tried as an adult or an adult. When they turn down a plea recommendation like that, the judge specifically brings them up to the podium and ask them, were you given that last offer? Was that conveyed to you? This is your choice and your choice alone. And Carly Gregg stood at that podium and said, yes, this was her decision to turn down our both of our plea recommendations and go to trial.
Now, what about some of the stuff I'm hearing about Bridget saying that she's now Carly's mom? Is that true?
So
there's some weird stuff there.
Yeah. So during the evaluation with Dr. Pickett, she did indicate to him that she was acting as Carly's de facto mom. Of course, that doesn't come out in front of the jury because it's not really relevant to whether or not Carly killed her mom and attempted to kill her stepdad and hid the camera, or whether it comes down to sentencing, right? I mean, it's certainly not something we've both served. Michael and I both served as defense attorneys, and Shaun serves in that role now too. Sometimes certain attorneys take more of a personal approach with their clients than others. And so I can't speak for what conversations they've had or what they're doing.
And it's a 14-year-old, too. I mean, take the crime away from it. Let's just look at the potential consequence and repercussions of that crime. That's a heavy moment, and I guess the biological dad wasn't really in the picture for extended amounts of time, and the stepdad's kind of the de facto dad. So it would make sense. Like I said, I'm trying. People put this stuff out in the ether, and it kind of grows legs and sounds worse than it can be. Kind of like the trans stuff, and there's like that. It just becomes fact that the attorney's running around pretending to be her mother now.
There was one thing we actually Clay discussed on the podcast, but I'll ask for the radio audience. That Bridget Todd said in a podcast interview that Carly Gregg would not have qualified for a public defender. Of course, immediately I was like, well, that's ridiculous. Of course she would. She's 14. I know Judge Arthur. He's going to immediately point her a public defender. Did that ever come out why she didn't get one? Because I know the public defenders in Rankin County. Ephraim Sellers is a really good friend of mine. I don't know a better attorney barely than him. I think he would have done an amazing job on the case too. But why she didn't go with the public defender's office and went with Bridget Todd? Is there any background to that?
Yeah, so, talking about Ephraim, and just as an aside, all of our public defenders in Rankin County are wonderful attorneys. Of course, we work with them day in and day out on many different cases. But, and we talked about this the other day, Carly, in fact, did have a public defender whenever this case when she was first charged. Yeah. You can go back and you can look whenever this case was coming up through county court, and she did, in fact, have a public defender at that time. Right. And then it was shortly after she was charged when Bridget and Kevin Camp entered an appearance on the case. So, whatever the decision is, of course, people have their right to choose their own counsel. Sure. I don't know what went into that in this case, but I think anything would really be speculation on our part. But she certainly had the opportunity to have a public defender. She did have a public defender whenever this case first started, and Bridget and Kevin made an appearance shortly thereafter.
I know Kevin has practiced law for a long time and is very experienced, so this is not really speaking towards him, but just the things that I've observed watching the trial were just obvious, glaring, the best way to incompetence, I thought. I'll say it. You guys don't have to say it. The one thing being, obviously, it's been talked about for the last few weeks is the Brady motion that she brought up, where she said y'all didn't give her certain text messages in the Cellbrite dump. And the Cellbrite dump, for everybody, is basically text messages in a program, essentially. Right. And can you tell the audience about that? What happened there?
Yeah, and so we wouldn't call it incompetence. We would call it trial strategy.
Okay, you guys call it that. I'm going to call it.
We call it trial strategy.
And this is where she claimed that y'all didn't give her that.
Yeah, correct.
Clearly, she had just not looked and seen it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, there were many what we call phone extractions, which is basically what people think of as phone dumps, where investigators collect somebody's phone and then pursuant to a search warrant or consent, they pull the data and messages, phone calls, things like that, location data. They pull that off of the phone. And so we turned over multiple phone extractions to the defense in this case, including the entire phone extraction for this friend of Carly's who they claim we didn't give them some text messages. So again, and I've talked a little bit about this, if you're not familiar with the Cellbrite program, I mean, I think it's pretty intuitive. It's not really hard to use, but if you're not familiar with it, I guess it can be. And so anyway, she was claiming, or the defense was claiming, that we did not give them some text messages from back in November. We tried to tell her, in fact, that we did. We showed her, we showed the defense on our computer where that was located, and actually gave her the opportunity to withdraw that motion before the judge came back in. She proceeded to, again, I guess what you would say, double down on her Brady motion violation. And so once the judge came back in, there's the funny picture, if you want to call it that, from Clarion Ledger, where she brings the computer over to our desk, and I, basically in 5 or 10 seconds, I search through Cellbrite and I show her the text messages that were in fact on the phone extraction that we gave her.
All right, hold that thought. We got to take a break. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. It's a Fafo Friday here on the show, and it's brought to you by Guns and Gear, located right out there on Highway 51 North in Gluckstadt, Mississippi. Swing by there today, see Hunter and the team. Pick yourself up a new or quality pre-owned weapon. Heck, maybe you got one you want to sell or trade in. They do take used guns in on trade, and of course they'll buy it from you as well. No sense in having to go anywhere else. Go to Guns and Gear. Hey, they're also the home of No Limit ammunition, as well as they can take care of all your gunsmithing and Cerakoting needs too. And hey, maybe you need a knife. We always talk about the guns, but we don't talk about knives a whole lot. Man, they have got, and I couldn't tell you one brand of knife from another personally, but I'm just like guns. I'm not a quote unquote gun guy, I just like guns. Same thing with knives. I like Ninja Stars too. But anyway, they got it all at Guns and Gear. Stop by there, get you a nice knife. We're getting close to hunting season. You never know what you may need. Get stocked up, locked up, and loaded. And then maybe you're just going to Jackson for the day. And you need some extra guns and ammunition for that. We all know outside of the Capitol Police District that it's just not a safe area at all. So swing by Guns and Gear, Highway 51 North, Gluckstadt, Mississippi, right at Yandell Road next to Boo's Smokehouse and Barbecue. All right, man, we've got a surprise guest here in the studio with us. Rankin County DA himself, Rankin Madison County DA himself, Mr. Bubba Bramlett, who, fun fact here, was one of the first guests I ever actually had on this show. So, Bubba, great to see you in here today, brother. You're looking good. How's everything going?
Everything's going great. I got to looking for Michael and Catherine, and I heard y'all talking on the radio, so I thought I'd stop by and see y'all.
Well, they're late for work.
That's right.
They're late for work.
They've been slacking a little lately, so just kind of riding this wave of fame they've had. I think they can just make their own schedule. So
that's right. Yeah, I heard y'all on the radio, and I said something to you earlier about your rodeo commercial. That's real good. I don't know if the people did they get to hear that on live stream, or is that just the radio people that get to hear that?
It's just on the radio, but I have been plugging it into the podcast and stuff too. So if they go back and listen, the live streamers haven't got to hear that, but it's fun. I channeled my inner Sunday.
There you go. There you go.
And I know when I was cutting the commercial, I was thinking about that. I was like, Sunday. Monster truck commercials.
Oh no, I know exactly. That's what I was joking when you're selling the T-shirts. I'm like, Monday, come here. Buy one of these Clay Edwards shirts.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody knows how educational your show is. Sometimes yesterday you were talking about I think the anatomical clock of a woman, and today I heard y'all talking about the illegal cigars, I believe. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well-rounded.
What's it called? The amount of time before you have to charge somebody from a crime?
That's right.
What is it?
Statute of limitations.
Thank you. I can never remember that term. Statute of limitations. The statute of limitations ran out.
Drugs are on the 2-year one, I think, right? Possession.
Yeah.
So
there
you go.
We're good.
I'm good.
I'm 14 years, free of that. So, well, there may have been a hiccup in 2014 or so, but other than that. For about 14 years. So with that said and done, yes, it is a very educational show. If you listen to it enough, there's a lot of little inside jokes to kind of get thrown around, like for long time listeners, they'll catch the throwbacks here and there. Well, look, we only got about 5 minutes left for this next break, so let's jump back in. Sean, y'all were talking about the text messages?
Yeah.
There was something y'all wanted to hit?
Catherine wants to run with that one.
So y'all, we're talking about the Brady violation or the claim for a Brady violation, and Michael talked about how obviously we had in fact turned that information over. But what I also want to point out is, in order for it to be Brady material, it has to be exculpatory. And what these messages were that she was saying we'd not produced were, they said, like, Carly's talking to her friend, they're talking all about drugs before and after, and then in between she's like, hey, when I was talking to such and such, I zoned out. I don't even remember what I said. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I zone out often. And I think we talked about that the other day. During the Brady claim, I was so mad that I zoned out. I do not remember what I said. And so that's not the same as a disassociation. And so certainly those text messages were not exculpatory, even if they had not been produced, but they were in fact produced.
And the funny thing about it to me is that you guys gave her a shot to say, hey, look, and that's what attorneys do to each other. I mean, we've all messed up. I mean, believe me, trust me, I've done that a lot. And you're kind of like, all right, bro, like, it's cool. We'll just not make this public, right? And it seems like she's like you said, Michael, she doubled down like, no, man, I'm going full with the idiocy here. That's the way it kind of comes across. I don't know why you would do that, but apparently. So the next thing we were asking about, so there's been a motion for a judgment notwithstanding the verdict filed, just like in every case. And there was some claims, I guess, made in it that she said that Kevin Gregg had given an interview on WLBT last week where he had stated that Carly was treated for auditory hallucinations with equestrian therapy, which is the first time I ever heard of equestrian therapy. I hope it's a wonderful thing. It's something you learn something new every day.
I think of horses when I hear equestrian.
I think it is. I think that's exactly what it is. So and then WLBT had wrote a report Friday night, I remember last Friday, saying that never occurred. And then now they've released the unedited video where that's never happened. So that to me, I mean, I know we all know, the four of us over here know the ethical rules very well, that lying to the court is a problem. I mean, that's kind of a problem. Do you guys see any potential repercussions from that? Or
So I'm hoping that she did so unintentionally, right? We never want to accuse somebody of outright lying to the court unless we have proof of that. So I have, in fact, watched both interviews with Kevin Gregg. That does not appear to be what he said. Certainly, I would hope that if that were me, I would have been knocking down WLBT's door saying, hey, let me correct this. I'm so sorry. And then I'd have filed an amended motion saying I was mistaken when I said this. So that's not happened. But you know what? That doesn't have to happen, right? It's one of those things where it's a little weird because it did come out during the trial that she had received equestrian therapy. In fact, I looked back yesterday. Dr. Gugliano's report talked about that. Some of the medical records that the defense put into evidence talked about this equestrian therapy. So to claim it's new information, that to me is the most... the biggest problem is that like you actually already knew about this, and so for you to claim that you didn't know about it, and then to say like, hey, by the way, this local news station said this, and WLBT has come out and said like that didn't happen. So I would hopefully, I would hope that if I were in that position, that I would try to correct any mistakes I had made.
The actually speaking regarding that, so then Clay had actually talked about this on Monday, and Kevin Camp reached out to him. And do you have a copy of that? I know you read it on air there. I'll just say I got it real quick, but basically the substance of it. And what he had, essentially what he says is that he told Bridget, if I'm remembering this correctly, I'm paraphrasing it, that he told Bridget that a reporter had told him about these auditory hallucinations. That's what he'd emailed Clay, and Clay read that on the air. Now, he didn't specify what news organizations the reporter was with, or he didn't. He just said that he had told Bridget that information that he had obtained from a reporter. I guess to me, the way to solve this would be, unless she files an amended motion, which who knows if she will or not.
I got it.
Okay, you got it.
No, wait. No, continue.
The way to solve it, I mean, would just have. I guess Kevin could testify to who it was at the hearing. I mean, and what the reporter was. That seems to be the best way to handle it.
Here it is.
Yep.
This is from Kevin. Bridget asked me to reach out to you about the JNOV she filed. I had talked to the reporter and conveyed that was told to me. If the accusation is about Bridget not telling the truth, she put down what I told her the reporter told me. I don't think it really matters because we would need medical records anyway. Whatever Kevin Gregg said is not admissible as far as medical records concerning Carly.
I think that's a great explanation by Kevin, right? Is that like even if you took the allegation as true, there's been zero what we call proof in the courtroom of that. It's kind of like the telephone game you used to play when you're a little kid. Mm-hmm. Like I tell you something, and by the time it makes it back around to Bubba and I, like it's completely different than what I said.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I don't know that the lost in translation argument really makes it a lot better. And like Catherine said, I mean, if that was the case, then I think the correct thing to do would be to come in and correct it and file an amended motion. I mean, there were some pretrial hearings right before, not long before trial, where we were arguing over whether or not a urine test that Carly did out at the juvenile detention center was going to be admitted into evidence. And we were under the belief that the juvenile detention center was under a certain federal grant. And after talking to the attorney for the county, we learned that it was under actually a separate federal grant. And so Catherine went back the very next day and changed that and amended that, and we moved on.
All right, hold that thought. If you're watching online, stay tuned. We're going to continue this through the break. If you're listening on the radio, we'll be right back to land the plane for the day here on the Clay Edwards Show. All right, let's continue this. We're still live on the online. So, pick back up where you were left off.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean, I think that was it. I think, again, if something was lost in translation, then, I mean, certainly it's all strategy at the end of the day, what they're going to do. And, they're wanting a hearing on it. And so whenever we have a hearing, I'm sure Judge Arthur will hold a hearing and it'll all be fleshed out there.
Okay, I know y'all answered this on Lindsay's podcast, but I want to ask it here too, because this is something I kind of made it my hill to die on when I did my live stream of the verdict, was this whole life without parole, which I know that based on the James Williams release into Rankin County, that you can't sentence a minor to life without the possibility of parole because of that Supreme Court verdict, right? So there is some possibility of parole down the road at some point, whether it be 80 years, I don't know, but.
So what the Supreme Court said was you can't automatically sentence a juvenile that's been tried as an adult to life without the possibility of parole. So that's why we asked the jury to consider those factors, those Miller factors, and then render a decision where they did, in fact, sentence her to life without the possibility of parole. So as the way the law stands right now, our understanding is she would not be parole eligible. However, there are things outside of the parole statute, like a conditional release or a medical release, where once she reaches the age of 65, or if something else comes up, she can petition to be released outside of the parole board.
And thank you for clearing that up, because I was wrong on my assumption on that. So what is, I know y'all talked about this too, and I know the answer, but I want my audience to hear it. What is life in Mississippi?
Are you mean life with parole or just?
Yeah, well, life without parole is life without parole. It's self-explanatory, right?
Right.
But what is life with the possibility of parole now?
Well, for an adult, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, adult offender, it means life unless you petition the sitting circuit judge who's, let's say, Carly Gregg's instance is, not even born yet, right, at that point, and at that time in the county of conviction. But that goes for adult offenders as well. There's no parole, as far as I know, for somebody if you get convicted of first-degree murder. There's no parole situation for like an adult offender, at least,
Life is
life. Yeah, I mean, now if you're talking about since 1995. Now, prior to that, there was, you could be parole eligible on a murder after 10 years. But prior to 1990, I mean, I think all that truth and sentencing stuff changed that.
Okay.
As far as Bub, is that right? I think that.
Well, and Clay, you're no more confused than even Judge Arthur is. He said that from the bench. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't know, and that's one thing about life without parole. It's got a little bit more definition to it.
Sure.
But life with parole, like you're talking about James Williams' case. He killed his parents, I believe, in 2002.
Yeah, but he was a stepmom and dad.
The
Tupperware containers, right?
Killed him in South Jackson, then brought him to Shiloh Park.
Yeah,
and I believe it was 2002.
Yeah,
and
he was 17. I think he was 18 by the time of the trial, but he was 17 when he did it.
So this is the first case in Mississippi since the law changed, and it's applying all the Miller versus Alabama factors and stuff. So we believe that she'll be in
jail for the rest of her life.
Yeah. Until
she should be.
Until God commutes her.
She'll do that to her mother. She'll do that to a complete stranger. Therefore, she's a threat to the community.
I was telling them in the podcast the other day that I called Scott Rahilio after and I said, dude, what does that mean? And he's like, I don't really know. And I said, I don't know. And I told him, I said, if you and I don't know, and many murder cases we try together, this ain't good. Because nobody knows. That's unfortunate, right? There's an unclarity that would be nice to, maybe the legislature needs to fix that.
And we think this this case will go a long way toward doing that.
Yeah, Fred Shanks is going to be listening. He may get on that one.
We're about 15 seconds from going back live on the radio. Welcome back into the Clay Edwards Show. We got about a minute left. If you were watching online, you got to hear us discuss what life versus life without parole actually is in Mississippi, as well as a couple other great topics. Maybe y'all can go back and watch the YouTube or Facebook or X stream there and get a little tidbit that you couldn't quite hear. I had to ask those questions, and we weren't going to have time on this last minute or so. So look, with all that said, I want to thank the three of you for coming in today. Bubba, always good seeing you. Same to you guys. Open door policy here. Would love to have you on more often. Real quick, 30 seconds or less. What happened yesterday in Rankin County with the guy that Fafo'd and threatened a prosecutor?
Is that Trey Spillman that they're talking about?
Yeah, so it wasn't a prosecutor in our office. It was actually our county prosecutor.
Okay, Trey.
Yeah, that's right, Trey Spillman. It's our understanding, and again, I don't think we have a case file on that, so we can only talk loosely about it, but that there were certainly some threats made against him, and and then he was taken into custody. And there's been a lot of backlash by, I think, he and the mother since then about, law enforcement.
Yeah, well, Fafo.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for coming in. Shaun, I'll see you tomorrow morning at McBee's.
Yep.
Guys, well, hopefully only see y'all in situations like this, never on the receiving end of anything you're doing. And listeners, thank y'all for a great week of shows, a great week of everything. Peace.